welcome to another episode of Tomes and Tunes. I am your host, Arielle Silver. I am a performing songwriter, storyteller, obviously podcast host, and yoga studio owner. And also, we're in the fall quarter right now at Antioch University. I teach in the university, and I'm very excited about this semester. So I'm also doing all the things creative. This show, Tomes and Tunes, came out of the very dark, depressing time of the very beginning of the pandemic when that started and all of us were flung into our separate corners of the world. And one of the, I think, beautiful things that has come out or that started right at the beginning of the pandemic itself, of course, aside, is that all of a sudden there was an immense amount of compassion for process, and nobody expected anybody to do anything perfectly. We were all just trying to survive a pandemic, trying to adapt to all of the strange new ways that we had to do everything from going to the grocery store to taking care of our professional lives, our personal lives. And I really loved, I felt like that was a very tender, beautiful time. This show came out of that time, and it was just, a quest to connect with other songwriters while we were all obviously not hanging out together, not able to meet at the venues and the normal places that we would have bumped into each other. And there was just I don't know, I felt like we didn't need to do it perfectly, which is great because I don't do anything perfectly. So I embrace the idea of process and just figuring things out on the show. And a lot of times we talk about that sort of thing. So anyway, welcome to Tones and Tunes. If this is your first time tuning in or your 73rd time tuning in, fabulous. Say hi in the chat. Let me know where you are watching from. And I'm here in Los Angeles in my little she shed. And today I have a guest who is Los Angeles based, or was, I thought. But he is on the road, and you're going to see that. Talk about process. It's all about the journey, right? Well, we're literally in the car on the journey with Benjamin. I think he says his name Jaffe. I should have checked that before I before I started this show. But anyway, we'll talk with him about how he pronounces his name, where on earth he is, and all of that stuff. First of all, I want to say last week I took the week off because I was at the Far West Folk Alliance Region West conference. It was all virtual, and like so many virtual things this year, it was actually quite enjoyable. I don't know, just my heart just filled up the opportunity to connect with people, to listen to really great music, and yeah, it was great. So right now we're sort of in that time period with all of the Folk Alliance regional conferences. And one of the nice things about these virtual conferences is that even though the conference is over, you can still get a ticket and get access to all of the content, the concerts, the showcases, the panels, the peer sessions. There was a lot of really great content. So that's at far-west.org if you're interested. I do serve on the board of Far West, so I had to do a little plug for that. But if you're going to the Farm Conference next week or NERFA in a couple of weeks, I will see you there. Meanwhile, here we are in Tomes and Tunes, talking books and swapping songs with songwriters, and I'm going to bring Benjamin Jaffe on right now. Hi.
Hey! It is Jaffe. You nailed it.
Jaffe, yes, I thought so. Just had an intuition about that. So give us a little tour of your car.
Oh, God. This is the back part. We call it the trash heap. And this is the front, the living quarters where we sleep, eat, drink.
Yeah. Play guitar, apparently, too. So Benjamin is tuning in on the Wi-Fi from a Starbucks, so we might have some connectivity issues, but we wanted to go on with this show. Right now he's frozen on my screen. Let me see if I can take him out for a second. Shoot, I hope we can get him back. I will hang out here for a minute while we see if we can get Benjamin back in. Maybe Benjamin, if you can hear this, leave the studio and reconnect, and we can see if that'll work. Benjamin is in Rochester, New York right now, in his car, obviously, in a Starbucks parking lot. His girlfriend is in Starbucks, and while we were getting ready for the show, We were connecting over some pretty cool kind of parallel universes. I am the oldest child of a couple of different, I guess, family tree versions of kids, and so I'm the oldest kid of the first marriage of my dad. But in his second marriage, he had two other kids, and they are significantly younger than me. And Benjamin's dad did the same thing, and he is that version, the younger kids. And so before the show, we just started talking about how he's starting to build a relationship with his significantly older siblings now, and he's heading back to the Rochester area to spend some time with his dad, who is, I think he said, coming up on his 100th birthday. So this is an interesting time. Here we go. We're going to bring Benjamin back in. Did we got you. Thanks for coming back in. I just told your whole life story while you were gone.
Great. You probably nailed it. And I don't know this. I just want to say to anyone who's listening, all these problems are completely my fault. And I had all the warning in the world, but I blew it. And I'm sorry. So I apologize, Arielle, and people who are listening too. My phone just got so hot it shut down. I don't know if that is normal on your show. But
there is a first time for everything, and that you just got a lot of firsts, Benjamin.
Wow. Well, thank you for your patience and grace.
So you are you going to be living in you're kind of in the middle of touring and stuff like that, but are you going to call Rochester your home base for a little while?
No, we actually have 4 hours to go. I guess I was kind of
Oh,
misleading before. So we're on our way. We started in Los Angeles on Monday, and now we're in the final
wow.
8% of
You
the
did
drive.
that fast.
We go crazy. I don't know if I regret it, but I'm considering regretting it.
You'll assess later.
Yeah, like when I see the actual state of my body.
Oh yeah, yeah. So you still have 4 hours to go. Where's the final resting landing place?
The landing place is Old Williamstown, Massachusetts, which is Western Mass. You said you lived in Boston. It's kind of as
Yeah.
far as you can get from Boston and still be in Massachusetts. We
So
call
like
Baja,
three.
Vermont.
Oh, that's what you were saying about Vermont before. That's really funny. I've never heard that before. But uh oh gosh, there was a town that I can't remember the name of it now. Really sweet
Northampton.
town. Well, yes, Northampton is a very sweet town, and there's pretty good pizza there as well. I used to literally drive
Ooh.
from Boston to Northampton to get pizza. Yeah. So,
Pinocchio's Pizza?
yeah, Pinocchio's, but then there was also, I think it's called Antonio's, maybe in Amherst. So I would go to one or the
Dang.
others. Yeah. There's no
Well, I'm
good pizza
lactose
in Boston.
intolerant, so
Well,
this is triggering for
oh,
me.
okay. Oh, sorry. I was gonna say there's no good pizza in Boston, but I bet in the North End there was good pizza. I just never. I guess I could have gone to the North End instead of driving all the way across the state, but you know.
There's a super famous place, and they have one in the airport now. Oh my God, my friend is like an old time Boston dude, and he freaks out. I'll text it to you
Yes, you.
because
That's not Mike's
yeah, he's
Cannolis,
like,
is it? Is it that place?
no, it's got some cool name that sounds very long and very Italian.
Okay, very very cool. Love that. I mean, good. Sorry about the lactose intolerance part. Good Italian food is the
I've been
bomb.
living with it this long.
Yeah, yeah. But Vermont, Baja Vermont sounds very nice. One of my favorite writers. I don't have his book with me. He just came out with a new book, and it's on my nightstand, getting ready to read. But he's a goat farmer in Vermont, so you're just a
What the
hop, skip, and
heck?
a jump. Yeah, he's a beautiful writer. His name is Brad Kessler, and he was a mentor, a writing mentor of mine. And he's
Wow.
also a goat farmer, or I guess you would say goat herd. He does he just raises goats. He loves them. He milks them and he makes goat cheese. But they are
This
his.
is my guy.
Oh, is.
Yeah, because I can eat goat cheese
Oh.
without great
He is
yeah,
your
without
guy.
the consequences. Yeah, I was just eating goat cheese last night, Ariel. This is
Well,
great.
that's great. Well, well, Usually
You
we
don't have
wait
to
to
introduce us.
usually we wait to get to the book part of it, but since we're on the topic, do you actually read? Are you one of my guests who likes to read, or are you one of my guests who's not that super into books?
Well, I love reading, and I thought I told you, but I guess I didn't. I think this is funny because we were talking about my dad earlier, and and he still does, but his career for the most part ended, a decade or two ago. But he's a book publisher.
Oh,
So I
yes.
grew up like in the book business, which is, I don't know. I don't think, especially because publishing is kind of dying in that sense. I don't meet many other people um, who, I don't know, just grew up around that kind of work. And he still
That's
does it. He's an editor.
oh, that is awesome. I love that. I actually have in my family tree the last name Bookbinder. There was a
Heck,
part of my family tree that were bookbinders in the old
I like
country.
it when names just really
I know.
tell what you are. You know what I mean? It's like Williamstown.
Yeah. And I especially love it when it's like which came first, the name or the profession, because I feel like I meet an inordinate number of people whose last name is something like Singer or Horn or something like that, something musical, and they are musicians. And I'm always like, did you
Mm,
pick the profession, or how did that work?
tricky.
Yeah, but you're Jaffe, I'm Silver. I don't know what that says about us. Um,
Suggest something.
so you grew up in the book business, and you eat goat cheese. And my old mentor Brad Kessler is one of the most beautiful writers. I'm not just saying that because he was a mentor of mine. I love his writing. In fact, maybe that's why he was a mentor of mine. But he has a book called Goat Song, which personally, if I were to recommend a book of his, I would say either his brand new book that just came out that I haven't read yet, North, because I think it's probably amazing, or a book that he published a while ago called Birds in Fall. It's beautiful writing. It takes place in Nova Scotia, if I remember correctly. But he has this other book called Goat Song about him deciding to raise goats and all about goats and making goat cheese and everything
I
you
feel a soul connection to this
yeah,
man.
everything you never thought you wanted to know about goats. It's right there in the book.
I like a goat. I spent a little time with the goat folk.
The goat
They're
folk.
good. Yeah,
Well,
they're good creatures.
people were, goat yoga was all the rage, and I've been teaching yoga for a long time, and I think that goat yoga is probably done with now, unless you actually have goats. Now it's all about cat and dog yoga because we're doing yoga on Zoom, and everybody's pets are just like crawling around their space. They're hopping on my students while I'm teaching. It's really funny. So cat and dog yoga, goat cheese.
You're just covering it all
We are. We're covering all the bases. So, okay, so you've got 4 hours to go. You're gonna land there today, I guess, right? It's
tonight. We're
about
doing
five.
it.
Yeah. So you'll be there by 9, 10 o'clock tonight.
Yep.
And then what does life look like in Williamstown,
Well,
Baja, Vermont?
Baja, Vermont, right? Um, well, again, I don't know how you can cut me off if I'm just like talking too much personal stuff, but so my dad, who I just mentioned, he's got a birthday coming up. He's a super old dude. Um, and I like make people guess and things like that. It's kind of like a party trick almost. But there's no real back and forth at this point, and you already know.
Yeah.
So he's turning 100 years old. So I'm going back there with my girlfriend Alex to spend time with him and just kind of help out. And I'm doing a lot of traveling in the next couple of months. So instead of basing myself in LA, I'll do it in Massachusetts.
Yeah. Well, those are my two home states. So, you know, that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah,
And
we've
you're
got some simpatico thing going on.
Yeah, we do. But I don't think I would ever move to Massachusetts on the cusp of winter. I'll just say that.
I don't you miss? I kind of miss it. I'm especially like it's raining right now. It's raining
Yeah.
more today than it has. This is not an exaggeration in the last 3 years. of LA. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but at least two
It's been kind of
or
dry.
something.
Yeah, it's been dry for a while.
Yeah, we're talking mega drought, and
Yeah,
it's just nice to kind of feel
yeah,
moisture in the air and
yeah.
be around water.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's put it on the calendar to touch base again in February, March, and see how it's going.
I'll be gone. I told you I'm going on tour.
That's right.
I'm
So
just gonna
speaking of
bail
which,
out.
so you're going on tour, and this is a new music project, a new band that you have?
Well, it's not my band. I joined a band.
Ah.
Um, yeah, recently I joined the singer Casey Musgraves band. So
Oh,
I'm
that's
her.
so weird. I have this weird connection with her. The
Really?
pedal steel player that played on my second and third album played with her band for a long time, toured with her for a long time. And now
Is
you're
his
going on
name
tour with her.
Brad?
Nope.
Wait, what is his name? I feel like I know. He's a great. He plays like a lot of classic country type stuff. Am I crazy? What's his name?
We're gonna see if it comes to you by the end of the show. How about that?
Okay.
But
I
what
don't
are
think
you
it's going
playing?
to.
What are you playing? Are you playing guitar?
Guitar, yeah.
Awesome.
But there's a
I,
couple of us. Yeah. So
okay.
it's me and some of my friends from LA. Like luckily it just came to be that this band, this new band of hers is made up of a lot of people I've known in LA for a really long time. So it's just one of those opportunities to actually have a band that feels like a band.
Yeah.
And I'm excited and I feel lucky.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, some musicians you super jive with. You just lock in, it's like you breathe together. You know how to dance together. And then there are other musicians you might all be good dancers, but you just don't have that somehow you're something just doesn't
Yeah,
click, right?
yeah,
It's
with
so it's awesome
chemistry.
that yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've been
Yeah,
dancing with some of these dudes for 10 years.
that's awesome. And I was gonna ask you, I didn't know what level band you were talking about when you were saying you were going on tour, but how is that? What does that look like at that level during the time of COVID? And she's got a new album out too. That it's a great sounding album.
Yep. Um, yeah, the COVID thing is crazy, and I think kind of like everyone, we're just trying to figure it out as it excuse me, as it goes. But obviously, it's a lot different as far as just generally the choices you make when you're traveling and the responsibility that you have. I mean, we just did some TV stuff, and I kind of it was awesome, but it was stressful too in
Yeah,
the weeks before because you think if I test positive, like I'm out or they're out, or if I test positive, the whole band. You know what I mean? It's just
yeah,
it's fairly nerve wracking.
yeah. Well, what would happen if one of the band members were to test positive on tour? Would they be replaced for you know until they got better, or would the tour completely stop? What does that look like? Do you have any idea?
I mean, I'm sure it just depends. It depends on the circumstance under which the positive test happened. Blah blah blah. But you saw like a couple of months ago, a month or two ago, the Foo Fighters canceled an entire show festival type thing from one case on a crew member. So it just kind of depends on the
Yeesh.
situation. Yeah,
Yeah,
but it's nuts.
yeah. Well, COVID's no joke. I mean, it's just such a contagion, and willy nilly can have such horrible health ramifications. But from an economic standpoint, it's no joke either to be putting on those kinds of productions that size, all the crew, all the bands, everything
It
that goes
carries a
into.
lot of risk. It always
Yeah,
does, but now it's just a completely different
yeah,
level of it.
yeah. I just saw John Paul White. I think he posted it today. Maybe it was yesterday on Instagram to say that he tested positive and he was rescheduling dates. Um,
Bummer.
yeah.
Do you know
So,
Lyra Lynn,
uh,
the singer? Okay,
uh.
she's a friend of mine who's I think touring with him either now or in a couple
Oh,
weeks, or maybe not. I guess
maybe
I don't
she's
know.
on. She's got a vacation right now.
Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah. So what does that look like for you while you're on this road trip? Is that why you're doing it so fast, or you just want to get the hell across the country as fast as you can?
I just like to get it done.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm also going off of this mentality that, like, I started driving across the country when I was 18. So I
Mm.
still have a little, I think that as that part of me, that youthful exuberance just crumbles and fades. I'm kind of like adjusting to, oh wait, maybe I shouldn't do this. You're like hour 10. I'm like, oh God, it feels like my neck is separating from my shoulder, like all these things. So, so I definitely like, I like to do it. I used to do it in 3 days, I guess. So now I do it in four. And I don't know if that, I think this might be the last time I do
Seriously,
that.
from LA to Massachusetts in 3 days?
It's stupid.
Wow. Well, my folks, I'm a native Floridian. My folks lived in Florida when I was, I think for most of the time that I lived in Boston. I lived in Boston for about 11 years. Um, I think they were in Florida most of that time. Anyway, I just remember driving home to see them, and I would just get in the car and just drive, and I'd do it fast, and I just live off of cigarettes and grapefruits at the time because I was that kind of
That's
person
a
at the
good
time.
combo. Yeah.
Ah,
I
man,
love having a grapefruit in the car.
yeah, I think it was like some kind of cleanse. Like cigarettes and grapefruit. I don't
Like
know.
this kind of evens out.
Yeah, but that was 25-hour drive door to door from Boston
Oh,
to Orlando, and or Boston to Palm Beach. I don't remember where they were living at the time, but it was about 25 hours. So I would do that in. I don't know if I ever did it in 2 days. I think I would stay over 2 nights and break it up. No, I probably would do it in 2 days. I mean, it
I
was
mean,
just
two
me.
days. That's I would
Those
I would do that as a 2-dayer.
I would do that. I would do that at that age as a 2-dayer, but now
Yeah,
there's no way I would get. I have a
that's
3 hour
foolish.
drive coming up for a show on Saturday morning, and I'm like, okay, 3 hours. That's
Ooh.
okay. That's okay.
Space it out. Yeah,
So
I'm a
I want to go
dummy.
back to this little piece that this little gem that you dropped about growing up in the publishing business.
Yeah,
So I'm just picturing your house. You have a lot of books. Your dad's a
so
bookworm. I'm
many.
I'm picturing, right? What did and so you said that to answer my question if you like books, if you read books. I'm gonna guess that that means yes. You're a book lover.
It, I do, but in kind of a different way. I think because it's like one of those things where your parents are, it's like your parents make spaghetti and you ate so much spaghetti and you're kind of like easy on the spaghetti at this point. But I'm probably coming back around to spaghetti, to be honest. But when I was really young, I was a crazy reader, just like constantly. And then I eased off, and now, to be honest, I rarely read fiction.
Oh,
Um, but I do, like, I have a couple friends. It's the same with music. You just have like a friend here and there that always recommends the stuff that you like.
yeah.
So I have a few friends. Like, I'm reading this Tom Robbins book right now, which I kind of like. I feel, because I was like, oh, I'll probably talk to you about this. I
Yeah.
don't actually know if I like it. He's an incredible. He's like a virtuoso writer, and some of his sentences, and this may make me sound stupid, but like, I get this. He almost makes me feel like Oscar Wilde. There's like so much color in the sentences and so many unexpected twists and turns that you're like, oh my god, this guy can like do whatever you want with me. Um, but at the same time, the book I'm reading is, there's this weird kind of there's some weird sexual stuff in it that I'm like, I don't, you
You're
know,
not diving it.
I don't need to do that, Tom Robbins, because it's just hard for me not to remember, like, my disbelief doesn't go that far,
Right, right.
you know.
Okay,
But
so
anyway,
you
to answer your question, I love reading.
when you were younger, you said that you read a lot when you were a kid. What was there a particular book that was really important to you or that you still think really fondly of?
I mean, when I was really young, I geeked out on Michael Crichton. I got really into Michael
Oh.
Crichton. I always
Uh-huh.
loved adventure stuff and just kind of tale stories on a grand scale. So I loved when I was little, I loved those Redwall books. I don't know if you know that it's like a fantasy series, and I things like that were what really connected with me. Oh, and there was a book called The Diary of Adrian Mole,
Huh.
age 14. Do you remember?
Uh-uh.
It was a pretty big book, but
Huh.
not crazy, I guess. But it was a first person, like journal. The whole thing were journal entries. And as someone who was like 10 or 11, that kind of blew my mind that you could do that with
Yeah.
fiction. And um, it was hilarious too. I just like funny stuff too, I guess. Yeah, sorry, I wish I had a more specific answer.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, that's great. I love that answer. And it's funny when you mentioned that idea that at 10 or 11 it kind of opened up a new idea, a new way of approaching writing through that journal, um, you know, voice, that self, like deeply, probably I'm imagining conversational, deeply personal,
Super
intimate.
personal, yeah,
Yeah,
super intimate, and also like willfully playing with the idea of fiction a little bit because he's basically telling you that this is real, this is really happening. It's
right.
so sincere,
Yeah,
and that I thought
yeah,
that was kind of new for me too because I was used to real like novels like
right.
Once Upon a Time type
Right,
stuff.
right. Or on the other end of the spectrum, like the Diary of Anne Frank, which was not fiction; it was her actual diary, right?
Sure, exactly. Yeah, I read
Interesting.
that at the same time. I'm sure from school.
I think that the Diary of Anne Frank was the thing that inspired me to start keeping my own journals. I didn't like the word diary, and so I have just always called them journals. And I recently was reading, I can't remember who it was, but she was talking about the difference between a diary and a journal. And I was like, wow, I had never, I always considered them synonymous. In any case, I've been keeping journals since I read Anne Frank's diary. So yeah, maybe there's
It's
something at
such
that
a great
age.
habit.
Oh, it really is. Do you keep a journal as a songwriter? Do you
No, I mean I
use
have
that kind of tool?
notebooks. Yeah, for sure, but a lot less than I used to. I think I don't know, my writing has just changed a lot over the years, and
Yeah.
if I or when I hit another period of just like let's do this, then yeah, back to the journal. But I
Mm.
kind of I don't know we don't have to go into that kind of process stuff now, but yeah.
Well, it's making me wonder how you. I love your songs.
Hey, thanks.
I'm so glad that we got introduced. I really enjoy your songwriting. How did you start as a songwriter? Where does that all come from? Um, did you come? You said that you were 18 when you got out to LA. What does that have to do with the songwriting thing in you?
Well, I think that's what I wanted to do with music. I kind of grew up as a musician, like seeing it as a real like a profession, and in more of a practical way. I'd like play jazz on Friday nights at the restaurant, weddings, things like that. It was like, okay, cool, that's a musician, and I love that, and I love music. But I think the thing I was always and still am reaching for is writing. So it kind of I think being a performing musician allowed me to accept it as a job, something that I
Mm,
could actually do and support myself with. And then, I don't even think I looked at it this way, but to kind of allow the dream element in of, well, what do I want to be? And what do I want to do with this, besides like I played drums. That was my first thing. And I would
oh,
just like get gigs. Like, besides getting gigs, what do I want to do?
yeah.
Um, and I think the songwriting was always at the center of that. And I think honestly, it had a lot to do with words and reading being such a big part of my life. Um, I think uh, because that was a focus, and I think that's pretty rare actually in songwriting to really, as dumb as it sounds, like to have a word focus is
Mm,
is not the norm in my experience. So I was able to find a space for myself in that, even though I wasn't maybe as musically fluent at the time.
mm,
I was still, I think, able to write interesting songs because no one else cared about lyrics, at least in my life. And
interesting.
yeah.
And so was that when you were still in Massachusetts, or was that after you moved out to LA that started happening?
Well, I started writing. I remember. God, I hope my phone doesn't die. Um, I I I would play like so. I played jazz drums, and then I remember there was this guitar player I played with, and I started to get really anxious playing with him because I would really like what he was doing,
Mm,
and it started to make me upset that I wasn't doing that,
totally.
and I'm
I
like,
totally
oh
relate to
God,
that. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I
sometimes
was
when we're
like, oh,
like when we're feeling anxious or jealous or envious or something, like it's a confusing feeling when you're younger. Maybe you don't put a word to it, but when you're feeling that irritation about somebody, but yet you're attracted to that person, you're drawn to them. A lot of times it's like, "Oh, wait, am I it's because they're like that's what I want to be doing. I'm
that's what I
not
want to
doing that.
do.
That's what I yeah.
And I remember the specific. We were playing one time, and he played something. And I was like, shit. That's it. Like now I'm done. No, I'm not done playing the drums. I love the drums, and I'll always play them whenever I can. But there was a literal moment where I decided, like, okay, that I need to switch my focus and be able to communicate more melodically and really
Mm.
engage with that. And so that was in high school. But then, when I was 18, I so I'm just like running my mouth.
No, this is great though,
Yeah.
and then this is what the whole show is about. It's like, what is the
Okay.
process? Like, yeah, I mean, I didn't send you any questions ahead of time. Like,
Right.
hey, prepare your dissertation.
Mm, yeah.
No, it's totally great. Um, the show is all about process, so
Okay.
that's really helpful. Yeah. And so, what did you
Yeah, and
do when you came out? That started in high school for you. It sounds like you were incredibly self-aware in at that time. Like you were like, yes, music, and then you were like honing that vision. Like, no, it's not just about getting the gig. It's not just about being a musician. It's not just about getting the gig. It's like getting closer and narrower, clarifying, like, kind of cooking
yeah.
down to the essence, the getting deeper and deeper into where you wanted to be.
Yeah. Well, and there are two things that I wanted to tell you just because the theme of your show, but I remember one in my decision or part of the decision in leaving the East Coast and kind of breaking out on this thing as I found this Kafka quote. And I can't do it verbatim, but it was just about getting to a point where you can't turn back.
Mm,
It's like putting yourself in a position where there is no return. So
yeah.
you have to progress. And I was like, okay. So I'll go to, I can't remember if that was available. The opportunity to go to LA was available to me at the time, but that's when I realized like, this is how I need to approach this thing in my life. And then the reason for going to LA was because of a novelist friend who was he was like a mentor who had a really successful novel and was able to buy this house in LA and offer me a place to live.
Yes. Yeah. That kind of support is can't be underestimated, or that it's invaluable, not just because of the I mean it's invaluable because of what it affords. I love the words here, but like really what it affords you. You can what you can do, you
Yeah,
know.
I'm so lucky for that. And that is, that was privilege, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I am so grateful for it. Yeah.
Yeah. So what did you do when you came to LA? You got yourself in this house. you had breakfast on the table, and what'd you do your first day or your first year?
Yeah. Oh
What did you
God.
do?
I went to Mustard Seed Cafe in Los Feliz. And but I had no idea what to do. So I got a job for about like 6 months, um, and saw how difficult it was to pursue music and have this job. And realized, okay, this isn't what I'm here for, so I need to quit this job. Um, and then right around that point, I started to, I just spaghetti walled it. This is the second time I brought up spaghetti.
I feel like
I think I'm
this show is
hungry.
brought, yeah, this show is brought to you by Italian food.
Yeah,
Like we've been talking about the
that I
whole
can't
time.
eat. Yeah, I don't know what that's about, but I I would go out to open mics. I basically go out to open mics and just try and figure out what do I do, how do I do it, how do I perform. But I was so terrified. I had serious stage fright that I would go out, I
Oh,
would
yeah.
throw up before shows. I would, I canceled one show because I thought I was sick, but it was really just nerves. And after, it was like, that was a revelation for me because I was like 18 years old and like out there and, oh my God, I have to cancel. I can't do this. I'm like, ah. And then as soon as I cancel, I'm fine.
It's a
I'm
miracle.
like,
He's
oh my
healed.
God, this is how
How did you get
badly
over
this is
your stage
affecting me.
fright? How did you get over that?
I just kept going. I didn't stop, and I don't. That was all. I
I'm actually
remember that even
teaching
in
I'm actually teaching a workshop on Halloween weekend on stage fright.
really wow,
Yeah,
that's great.
it's been a force for me in my life as well, and I feel like yeah, it's hard. It's like it's a process to get through it,
Oh my
and
God,
also it's just
and I
doing it.
didn't.
Yeah.
And that's so lucky that your students have you to talk to about it because I didn't know anything about breathing back then. It didn't occur to me that there was any other option except to throw up and then just do it. And then what happens though is afterwards you feel so good that you played the show and that you overcame it, that it's worth throwing up next time. I
That's
think I
funny.
think that was that was
Yeah,
basically my journey.
that's not that's. Oh man, it's like reinforcement of of the wrong thing. Yeah.
Probably. I mean, it wasn't. Yeah, I
But
didn't
you
look
got,
at
yeah,
it.
you're just working through it at the time.
Yeah, yeah. It was. I didn't see any other option because it wasn't like I was gonna stop playing.
Yeah.
So you just did it.
Yeah. Well, what is so this tour with Casey Musgraves, fast forward a bunch of years, you're already a wonderful songwriter. How is like where is there going to be room for that? How does that, this gig of being a player, how does where does that come, connect with you as a songwriter?
Yeah, that's been an interesting process because I've never been a sideman like this. This is the first time I've like since that job when I was 18. This is the first time I've been an employee since I was 18. And it's like, okay, now what does this mean, and how do I identify with it? And actually, I don't know. I feel so lucky just for the situation, but also for all of what I went through on the way. And not that this is some endpoint, but
Yeah.
um, I I was thinking about the other day. I'm learning a new instrument for this gig, and
Huh.
it's really hard. It's not guitar. And I'm playing the flute. Um,
You're learning the
and
flute for this gig?
I'm learning the flute. Yeah, yeah. But voluntarily. Um, but the point is taking time. I love doing it. I love playing this instrument. I've never played a wind instrument before. It's like
Oh,
blowing my mind. Literally, haha.
yeah.
But the point is, I don't. My focus, so much of my songwriting career has been fueled by needing to make a living to a
Hmm.
certain degree, so that instills this kind of drive uh, that I'm realizing is now shifting because I don't have
Hmm.
to make a living doing that. and I have this other opportunity. So I without going too far afield, I've just been having this really fulfilling experience of understanding that this is me too, learning this instrument, playing this music in this way that I've never played before. I've never played music in order to express someone else's
Mm.
vision and to play with a degree of clarity that is expected in my role. In my other bands and my music, I can just go up and feel and do my thing, and it comes out how it comes out, and isn't that
Mm.
great?
Right.
But now it's my job to express somebody else's music completely
Mm.
clearly.
It's almost like the difference between fiction and memoir, or like I, I don't know why I feel like that's true, but it does seem like or like acting where you're doing like a one person show and it's your own thing versus donning the character that someone else has created and having to portray that, right?
Totally. But it's the same. It's not the same medium, I guess, but I think it's a pretty similar mechanism in the sense that it's this is still me. You're gonna hear me in a
Right,
through a different channel, but it's
right.
still me. And I think I used to freak out in the idea that like, well, I need to like I'm doing this because like here are my words and like and I can't wait to do that more. And again, but as informed by this, I'm excited to see what'll be different about it, you know?
Yeah. That's awesome. I love it. I love hearing that. I love imagining it, what that's going to be like. When you said I don't know, something about what you just said made me think of Meryl Streep and, how awesome she is. I
If I
just
had a
love her.
nickel, you know?
How awesome she is, but it's like her character is very widely. She's a phenomenal actor, and but it's like there's something Meryl Streep. Not that she's playing herself when I mean, she really I think embodies these characters, but the reason I love to see her movies is because she's so great at that, and that is Meryl Streep.
Yeah, and that's where her artistry is.
Yeah.
And that yeah, that's been kind of a that was surprising to me because I I don't know. I guess I didn't understand how to find myself in as a player and in music, not just songwriting. You know?
Yeah, I love it. Man, that's awesome. Very cool. I also
Yeah,
love that we're like in the middle of a rainstorm right now.
I
Like I
know.
see the roof, the sunroof, and like we've got
It's
rain
gnarly.
coming down. Oh man. Yeah, I
You
love
can't
the
see
look
anything.
of I love lights in the raindrops. I like watching the
Ooh,
raindrops race down a window. It's one of my
so
favorite
beautiful.
things. Yeah, whenever it's raining here, like those 3 times a year that
Yeah.
it's more than like just a mist. I just like to turn off the stereo, sit in the car, just like listen to it on the windshield. Yeah, look at the
It's such a
streaks of
relief.
so pretty.
Arielle, I don't my phone is going to die.
Do we have enough juice for a song?
I think if it cuts out, it'll be that. Is that okay?
Fingers crossed.
Okay.
Grab
I'm
that
so
guitar real
grateful.
fast.
Yeah. I'm so grateful that you have me on this and I'm
Yeah.
sorry for I hope it wasn't stressful as I was like frantically emailing you. It was we went through such a process like for some reason my phone service just went out in upstate New York so I swapped SIM cards with my
Oh wow.
girlfriend and like we went to town.
Wow.
Um let's
What are
see if
we
I
gonna
can
hear? What
do
are you gonna
this.
play?
Oh, I can play. What do you want to hear?
No, 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 no. You pick it.
Okay. Um, so speak. Maybe we'll talk about this some other time. But
Yeah.
this last kind of piece I've been working on is it's like a narrative show strung together with songs.
Okay.
So this is like the overture. And the show's called Enlightenment with Billy. Um, and it's
Oh.
about this kid's kind of journey
Okay.
through some harrowing experiences. Um, and if I blow it, I'm sorry. I've been driving for 40 hours. Can you hear that?
Oh yeah.
I was born down by the strip mall, raised by a mobile phone call, saved by racking groceries up on EBT. And I slept through church on Sundays, scraped the hash from ashtrays, watched the pretty faces conducting violence on TV, and it soothed me. It moves me. I'm like hitting the window on the door. Oh, losing your heart is just inevitable. Hey, hey, with a sweet smell of unleaded, Sandy's shirt was shredded. Yeah, he'd light the match and let it fall down on the gasoline, and we'd bike down to the mall, give Christine a call, yeah. Tell her I've been clean these days, no lie, 'cause it soothes me. It moves me. Oh, and losing your heart is just inevitable. Hey, 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 but holy host, please hallow me so I can kiss on sweet Christina. Spare my mother and my friends. I notice you don't do much for them. Well, Sandy's at the corner. He's dressed up like a coroner. He fills up the Toyota to the tailgate brim with those racks of 30 packed in stacks and spurting out into my mouth to drown the doubt that lies within, and it soothes me. Ah, it's getting out now. Yeah, it moves me. Oh no, we gotta get out. Oh, losing your heart is just inevitable. Hey. Hey, yeah, we got crazy on the tuning. Sorry.
That is exactly the song I would have asked for. So
okay.
Yes, rock on. I love it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm sorry that it's been in such weird circumstances, but what a great show you have, and I hope we get to do it again or meet in person or whatever.
Totally, both of those, all of that. I think now it's your time to go get some spaghetti and goat cheese.
All right.
And get your girlfriend out of that Starbucks.
All right, rescue her from corporate America. All right, thank you, Arielle.
Take care, Benjamin. Oh my gosh, how fun is that? Benjamin Jaffe on his way from Los Angeles to Massachusetts. He is in Rochester, New York right now. A wonderful songwriter. You should check out his stuff under his name, Benjamin Jaffe, and also his former band, HoneyHoney. There was a little bit of trivia that came up earlier in the show and didn't get a chance to finish that trivia, but Benjamin is about to go on tour with Kacey Musgraves. If you haven't heard her new album, please do check it out. I love her. I love her songwriting, and she's just such a glossy, she's just such a slick performer. Glossy, I don't know. Slick performer. Just really wonderful. And she used to have in her band a fellow by the name of Adam Ohlendorf. Wonderful, very talented player, pedal steel, dobro, pretty much anything with a bunch of strings on it and frets. And he played on my third album, Something Pretty, Something True. He's all over that album. So that's, a little connection that I had there previously with Kacey Musgraves. And now we got Benjamin Jaffe for today's guest. So I guess two connections with Casey Musgraves. I think that's all I've got, but maybe more. If you have a connection to Casey, chime in. Let's get you on the show. Thank you guys for watching. I guess usually I sort of take us out with a song, and also I share a little bit about what I'm reading. So I'll just finish up the show with to say that this is a great book, Free Play by Stephen Nachmanovitch. This is one of the texts that I ask my students at Antioch University to read when they are enrolled in my Sources of Creativity course, which I am teaching this fall. I've taught it for the last 5 years in the fall quarter. And if any of my students are watching this show, hello students. This book, Free Play, Improvisation in Life and Art. It's a gem. There's a lot of, he braids a lot of different things together, including he himself is a jazz musician. So he's coming to the writing of this as a musician, but he braids in other art forms as well as yoga philosophy, and all kinds of things that I just love. And I'll share this one quote with you. And it comes kind of late in the book, so you got to read for a little while till you get to this, but there are a lot of gems along the way. I just love this, though. He says, "We simply have to have it, crazy as it may seem at times. Faith in the rightness of our aim, in the ultimate fittingness of the obstacles, tests, and lessons that present themselves along the way, in the integrity and mystery of our own evolution. We simply have to have it, crazy as it may seem. Faith in the rightness of our aim, in the ultimate fittingness of the obstacles, tests, and lessons that present themselves along the way, in the integrity and mystery of our own evolution." As a musician, as a songwriter, I think about that idea of faith in these things that he talks about a lot. I don't think I had it when I was younger, which is why I had to take 10 years off in the middle of my career. I had to quit music. I thought I was entirely quitting, and I didn't realize I was going to come back. But I think somewhere along the way, I found that glimmer of faith, and that's what's allowed me to move forward. I got a gig tonight in Monrovia, California. If you're out here, come join. And I'm going to maybe just take us out with this one song that I have never performed live, but I think I'm going to try to play it live tonight, so I thought maybe I'd try it out here today. I've not performed it in person, I should say. I tried to play it a little while ago at an open mic, and it went okay. Then I put it aside and let it marinate a little longer. But tonight I'll be playing in Monrovia at the Wing Walker Brewery, and then on Saturday I am playing 2 shows up in the Central Coast of California. At 12:30 in the afternoon, I will be at Sculptera Winery in Paso Robles. I think they call it Paso Robles up there, but Paso Robles, that's just what it looks like to me. I don't know. Correct me, folks, in the chat box. And then I'll be that evening at the Savory Palette in Morro Bay, the place with the giant rock. And then I'll be staying over in an Airbnb on Saturday night up in that area, and then teaching yoga on Sunday morning from the backyard of the Airbnb. So I'm going to try to play this song, and it's called Soft on the Shoulder. Soft on the Shoulder. And this song came out of the cultural reckoning that really arose in a giant way last year on the occasion of the killing of George Floyd. For a lot of that year, of course, we were in the middle of the pandemic and quarantined, and yet despite that, of course, there were people taking to the streets and bringing heightened awareness to the racial injustice and inequalities that we are still perpetuating even in our modern day society. And I don't think it was any secret that it was there, but sometimes you got to shout it from the rooftops, from the streets, to get people to wake up to an even higher level of consciousness. And I'm grateful, actually, to all of that conversation that those events spurred last year, because it inspired me to have certain self-reflection, and also to read certain authors that I had not yet read. A lot of those books I've talked about on this show, from Toni Morrison to Kiese Lemon to who else? Who else have I read about or talked about here? To Nafisa Thompson Spires, who I'm reading right now. But this song is called Soft on the Shoulder, and it comes out of my own self-reckoning, my realization that there are many ways that I haven't stepped up as well as much as I thought I had. So it's that self-reflection. So here we go. And then we'll just close up the show. It starts with a witness, a kindness, a vision, a hand held, an arm linked in mine, carving out some time to understand my crime. I try not to fear thoughts of change sought for old flaws my heart might not want to feel, but we can never heal what we keep concealed. Were you asking me to listen? Was I talking through your turn? Love more, fear less, it's a practice. I don't promise gold, but I swear it on my soul, I'll keep trying. Were you asking me to listen? Were you talking through my... Oh, let me try that again. Were you asking me to listen? Was I talking through your turn? Was I offering kisses and band-aids, insufficient to the burn? On the front lines, were you calling for my aid? Was I standing too soft on the shoulder? Love more, fear less, it's a practice. I don't promise gold, but I swear it on my soul, I'll keep trying. Were you marching on the front lines? Were you calling for my aid? Standing too soft on the shoulder? Were you marching on the front lines? Were you calling for my aid? Was I standing too soft on the shoulder? Love more, fear less, it's a practice. So, new song, Soft on the Shoulder, about the cultural reckoning, my own self-reflection, realizing my own culpability. So, another episode of Tomes and Tunes, episode 73. Benjamin Jaffe was my guest today, and he was tuning in from his car. I hope you caught that. If you didn't, please scroll back, watch that part, watch him play his song. I just love that song. He's a great songwriter, and he is headed back to Western Massachusetts to hang out with his dad and hit the road with Casey Musgraves. Next week I have a fellow who I just love this guy, James Combs. I met him. He works as a film and TV sync agent. He has this agency called Laurel Cannon. They represent my music to film and TV. And over the work of that together, we've gotten to know each other. I played a couple of his or actually I played one of his events this past weekend for the Far West conference, and James is just a delightful human being. I can't wait for you to meet him if you don't already know him, and if you do know him, tune in and say hi next week, same time, same place, Tomes and Tunes for episode 74. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your week. If you are in the Monrovia area tonight, come by Wingwalker. Wingwalker Brewery in Monrovia. I will be playing a Songwriters in the Round show with 3 other wonderful songwriters. We are being presented by a very cool project called Electric Moon, and the founder of Electric Moon is Arthur Autumn / Brent Nuffer. And he will be there tonight also playing one of the best rock voices, I think, that you've probably ever heard in person. So if you can. And I'll be up in the Central Coast this weekend. So if you're there, I hope to see you. Until we do bump into each other again, take care and see you next time.